The biggest theme or the topic in anyone's life at some point becomes happiness. And why this is your life always goes through a trajectory of ups and downs, right? And when you have the ups, it feels good. When you have the downs, it feels bad, right? But as human beings, as living organisms, we like feeling good. We dislike feeling bad. So, in our life, we tend to keep pursuing the things that give us the ups. So, for example, when you're growing up, if you have a good relationship with your parents, you want to continue having that good relationship with your parents, so you try to comply with your parents' wishes. And you try to be a good child. Why? Because that's what feels good. Suppose you have a relatively rocky relationship with your parents, and now for you, you will want to rebel and not listen to your parents. Why? Because listening to your parents actually makes you feel miserable. And so you're in pursuit of things that make you feel good, so you will rebel. So, while these two cases are kind of pointing at opposite directions, it's more or less the same thing. It's in pursuit of that feeling good. So, your life will continue down this path of feeling good and feeling bad and feeling good and feeling bad. Okay, and now you will go to school, get some degrees. Doesn't have to be a university. You can go to trade school, or it doesn't even have to be a university at all. It doesn't have to be a school at all. You can still get like training for your jobs, right? And then you will enter society. You will participate in the economy. You will make some money, and then as you make money, you will want to make more money. And then as you make more money, you will want to make more money. And then you may come to peace with the amount of money that you make, or you may continue chasing it. But at a certain point, you will also evaluate what it means to live as you, and so on. Okay, so what I'm saying is you're gonna walk down a path of life. Now, this path can be informed by other people. So, I can inform you about the things that you can keep in the back of your head. I can inform you about the practices that you can do. I can inform you about the books that you could read and such, right? But what I intentionally don't do a lot in this channel is advocate that my way is the way that everyone needs to do. So, I recommend meditation for people undergoing certain things. I recommend bowing to people undergoing certain things because it's a totally good option to keep in the back of your life. But I don't insist upon the fact that this is the way to go. I don't insist upon the fact that Buddhism is the best way for everyone. Because why? This is my path, right? So my path was also informed by a lot of people. And ultimately, I look at those informations and then I choose my path and I walk. Why is this seemingly obvious thing so important for me to tell you today? It's because when in pursuit of these good points in your life, you may not just be informed by other people's opinions, you may start believing that other people's suggested ways and best practices are the way to go for you. And coincidentally, it may be the right path for you. But that leaves things into coincidence and chance, right? That means you are a product of chance and not your intentions. Now, that I have a bit of a problem with, because that means your happiness depends on certain things that are not you. And one of my deepest foundational beliefs that I have about life, not just my life but your life as well, is that anyone can be happy. You can be happy today with none of your wishes coming true. So, it does take a lot of introspection. It does take a lot of time for you to eventually reach this kind of awareness and understanding. But, and you know what? It's right now, it's completely honest. It's okay for you to, believe in certain best practice for your life. You will want life hacks, and you will want mentoring that will guarantee you success and such. Okay, so now the question becomes, but aren't best practices kind of best practices for a reason? Aren't people experts at something for a reason? And don't these experts give these advices for a specific reason? Yes, because in general they turn out to be good. But again, there's nothing that guarantees that you are going to be in that general pool of statistics. So now, you can totally follow the general statistically good way to live, right? And it may really not be compatible with you. But chances are you can still get all the results you want. You can still get promoted. You can still get a lot of money. You can still get into romantic relationships with the people that you desired. And you can continue to get all the things that you think you want in your life. All these conditions that you want in your life. The car that you want. And the house that you want. And that relationship with another person that you want. Maybe a hierarchical one. Maybe a romantic one. Maybe a separation. You can get all those things you want following best practices that you might not be necessarily aligned with. So for example, a really good way to make money is scamming people, right? Scamming old people. Scamming the people who don't really know technology. I've been scammed once, and I was trying to find an apartment, and I used the method I used to find my apartment when I was in college. Craigslist. I hadn't known that times had changed, but then now I got a guy who was like, hey, I have an apartment for you that you can live in. And then I was like, oh, great, blah, 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 blah. And then when can I pick up the keys? And then he's like, oh, yeah, but you know what? I'm overseas right now because of some business ventures. And if you give me the deposit, then I'll mail you the keys. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not really in a rush, so that works fine. And so okay, so I'm in a Asian country that doesn't accept US dollars, so you're gonna have to mail give me some code for basically 7-Eleven money orders and things like that. Okay, so at the time I didn't know this was some shady shit going around, but at the time it sounded good to me, right? Okay, and then $5,000 later I realized, oh, this is a scam. Okay, so that was a valuable lesson I learned at $5,000, right? Okay, so now I know that's a path of life I could take too. I could take a bunch of people who are looking for apartments because they traveled from overseas and are looking for something, and you know what? It's totally possible to prey on them, right? And the guy was actually thorough enough to research the real estate market of that that house, and so. They looked for a house that was recently sold, and then decided to pretend that sold house was theirs. Because why? It's empty, and everything looks good from the outside, right? So that's the strategy. That's how I could live my life too. And I get robocalls, right? There's nothing stopping me from setting up my robocall shop. And I get emails from crypto people and all these coins. And when there's a lot of websites that have advertisement for gambling and things like that, I could totally walk that path. And what's another really lucrative market like drugs, right? And even in my profession, all I need to do is just guarantee you great results, and then just kind of gaslight you into thinking that the reason that you didn't get your result is because you suck. And in order for you to not suck, you need to buy more coaching from me. So this is something that happens in the coaching industry as well. Okay, So why am I giving you this elaborate list? When you work against yourself, when you work against your principles, when you work against your path, your natural path and intelligence inside of you, it's gonna incur energy from you. It's gonna drain you. So one of the people in my community is a salesperson, and they don't really feel good selling because why? It just feels really manipulative to try to convince people that this product is like really good when it's, I don't know, maybe it's not that great. But there are people who really sell passionately because they really believe in the product. It's kind of like I do with my coaching, right? I believe in my coaching. So I'm happy to sell my coaching. So the sort of the good outcome here is you know that you're kind of being incongruent with yourself. And so you're following the supposed best practices and you are getting the results that you want, but you know that something doesn't sit right with you. And that's sort of the okayer possibility. Because why? You can make a decision to stop. And you can make a decision to reevaluate your life. Because why? You know that something's not landing on you. But the kind of the more unfortunate version of this is you don't trust yourself. And you don't rely on yourself. So what you end up doing is you start you start filtering out your own inner voice that tells you, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like doing this. And when you're in this state and you keep walking down the path of not your life, what tends to happen is you get burnt out without knowing that you're burnt out. It becomes a very insidious and latent killer inside of you. It slowly drains away the life and the purpose to live. And it slowly starts affecting other areas of your life. It starts impacting the way food tastes. It starts impacting how you feel when you what you feel when you deprive yourself of sleep and nutrition. Like, some people, when they are under heightened stress, they have panic attacks, right? But there's also people who just collapse and that's the end of their life. I have seen this happen in the corporate environment multiple times. People just collapse. Because why? There's no warning. Because year after year after year, they have learned to shut down that part of themselves because it's a distraction from getting the things that they want. And that is problematic to me because my belief is that as long as you are alive, you can be happy, right? But that takes away your life. So, the primary purpose of this video is to communicate to you this. Your way to success, again, it can be informed by external voices. It can be informed by popular opinion. But the path that ultimately will work for you is your life path. The choices that you make because they feel good to you. And you may be wondering, well, then won't I just do the things that I always want to be doing, like sleeping and not doing anything productive? What's so wrong with that? Take some time, take care of yourself, entertain yourself, give the nutrition and the rest that you need to yourself. And then, of course, you may suffer a little bit of money because of that. Okay. Then see what life is like when you don't have a lot of money. It's like a experience, right? And you may be thinking, oh, Billy, that's so easy for you to say because you have it all figured out. But I wasn't always like this, right? I know what it's like to be a starving college student. I know what it's like to not have the job figured out yet. I know what it's like to be fired. And I agree, it's a very stressful situation, but that situation and me compounding stress to myself are totally different things. And so, when you can relax about the short-term effects because your eyes are fixed on the longer-term path of your life, that's when life starts making some more progress and progress. That's when your immediate needs are sufficiently fulfilled. That's when the creativity and that's when the deeper kind of inspirations inside of you are just gonna pop out of nowhere in the most unexpected timings. And in order to do that, you need the sensibility and you need that communication with yourself. And that starts with loving yourself.